FPL Gameweek 1 team draft, my bench boost is active, and I have no Salah or Haaland. Wow, what a way to get the game started. So, without further ado, let's take a look at my first team draft. So, here's a stat for you guys. Over 70% of you guys watching are not subscribed. Now, let's make a deal. So in the next few minutes, if you guys get the value that you're looking for from this video, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It would honestly make a huge difference in helping me and my one-man team, bringing you guys more content throughout the season. So, sounds like a deal? Let's get into it. All right, guys. Now, you know how I do. Without further ado, let us get straight into it. My game week 1 team draft, bench boost active, no Haaland, no Salah. In goals, I'm going to start off with Vicario against Burnley. He's paired with Pedro Porro in defense, along with Cucurella and Aït-Nouri being the only one with an away fixture. Palmer in the midfield with the captaincy so far. Ndai there against Leeds, with Wirtz against Bournemouth at home, as well as Marmoush. Playing a 3-4-3 with 3 strikers, Danny Welbeck, Mr. Reliable, Solanke, as well as João Pedro, who performed really well in his past few games in the Club World Cup. On the bench, which is most important, I have Sells against Brentford, who is looking like they are in trouble with a lot of people leaving, including their coach Thomas Frank. Mitoma, the man himself, with high XG there when it comes to Brighton as well. Then I've got Frimpong, who is somebody that is interchangeable, and then the Kuiper there, the man that is being hyped for 4.5 as well. This is my bench boost for game week 1. No Haaland, no Salah. This is my team draft. Now, let us get through it as well. Starting off with goalkeeper, I think the most important thing, really, let's start off with the idea of bench boost. Is it right? Is it wrong? It's not a matter of fact of is it right, is it wrong, because in the end of the day, it depends on the team that you select. And the best way to really say this is, at the end of the game week, there would have been 2 players. One who played their bench boost and the other one who also played their bench boost. But one where it worked out for them and the other one where it didn't work out for them. So in the end of the day, it's not wrong, it's not right. It's whether it actually works out for you or it just doesn't. Whether you save it or you don't, either way, you're gonna play it. Are there more advantages in playing it now or playing it later? I think it depends on the style of manager that you are. I think more cautious and more strategic planning, of course, people would love to keep it later. And funny I say that because I'm more planning and strategic. But I am also an FPL Force manager who loves to play with the dark side and just, shake things up as well. And then at the end of the day, that is the whole point of this, is you need to be able to balance your light side and dark side choices when it comes to FPL. And I think for me, when it comes to the bench boost, the pros for me outweigh the cons even way more. I think a lot of people cry about the bench boost being useless because they haven't had luck with it. I've had luck with it, but besides that, I think a lot of people struggle with putting money on their bench. And, I think this is now where we get into my team, because when it comes to me, I love having a bench where there's players that play. Like through the season, my bench points are insane. Because I always want to have a full 15, and I'm not talking about 4.0s. I like having people who are like 5 million on my bench, because I have an itch to scratch when it comes to transfers, having transfers during the week. I just love making transfers, so it's hard for me to always keep transfers. And the best way to do this in keeping transfers and rolling them over is having a good full squad of 15, which I can choose from. Yes, it's bench headaches, but I love a bench headache as much as people don't. So Let's go into the decision making of my team. It's obvious, of course, to have a strong bench because of the bench boost, and I put this view mainly because I wanted you guys to see who would actually be on my bench, and would those players really be a strong bench in that game week. And I think talking about sells when it comes to Brentford, again, Brentford, I think having lost Mbeumo, Thomas Frank are huge blows, and Wissa on the cuff at the moment right now with a lot of rumors of him wanting to leave. I think there's not enough firepower there, with a new manager coming in, Igor having hardly played enough minutes really in the Premier League, so we don't know how well he is, how good he is, as well as who's really just going to replace Mbeumo and Wissa as well. As much as you might have Igor there to probably replace Wissa, we all know the quality is definitely not going to be the same, but then who's going to be supplying them, because we know Wissa and Mbeumo really worked off well each other. Besides that, Nottingham Forest, we all know, have a very great defensive are very great defensively, so I have trust in Sal's basically trying to keep a clean sheet there for me. Then when it comes to the Bournemouth Brighton players, I want to say mistaken Bournemouth and Brighton. When it comes to the Brighton players, Mitomo's got the highest XG when it comes to the Brighton players, and I think that's the key here really when it comes to your bench, is like when you're playing bench boost, you want to have players who are have high goal involvement. So trying to go for that fifth midfielder that is like the highest XG in their team as well, but also like a player that's in a team that is actually good. So you couple those two together along, of course, with the fixture, then I mean, geez, you got a really great player, But I mean, if the player is not necessarily in the best of teams, like Ndai himself, he's not necessarily in the best team. Like we all know, Brighton is a lot better than Everton. No offense, guys, but then he's got a good, favorable fixture, and he's known to be on penalties as well. So there are a lot of key things that you need to look at when you're going to be playing a bench boost, things like that as well. So Frimpong there, as I mentioned, he is somebody that is on and off in the terms of I can change him. He's really a price point in terms of 6.0. I'm gonna be keeping out on the lookout for leaks. So if I do get a leak and it's Frimpong playing, I'm happy to play him, but if not, I can easily switch him to Van Dijk, who's again Mr. Reliable for that fixture. But the reason why I put Frimpong there for me, and this also goes along with the Kuiper out of 4.5s, because I could play Wan-Bissaka very easily with Sunderland there, but I don't want to be in a position where I'm scraffling to make transfers to get those players because they kick off. I think if you've noticed, my entire defense are like real wing backs, and as much as we have the defensive contributions, aka DEFCON, right now this is more of a short-term game, whereas DEFCON is really a long-term game because it's 2 points being accumulated over a long time for your player, and so that's really what you be having those type of players for. So this really is just for short term, hoping these players get some good points for this bench boost. But when I say short term, I don't want you to think I'm bench boosting and I'm going to be wildcarding in game week, anything between game week 1 or game week 6. I don't plan to, but I'm flexible enough to do that. Looking at the fixtures, I'm looking at game week 13 to wildcard. I was watching Price on FPL Wire, and I really loved that on Chip Strategy, and he was looking at the fixtures as well. So, which is what you're meant to do when you're building a team. And I agree as well, that window is really good in terms of turn of fixtures and the teams whose fixtures run start really in that time point in time. So, of course, it's like the majority of the big six. So, for me, this team was also built to be able to last and be able to be managed. And when I say last, I mean team managed, and not to wild card in between the time. And so in cases where, like now, my defense has like 3 6.0 defenders and a 5.5, if there is anybody kicking off less than 6.0, then I can always drop down easily to him. You can see there is a bit of money in the strike force there with 6.5 and then 2 7.5s, so I can do a maneuver easily to a Haaland if he's kicking off and I really need to get him, just by bringing in some money from the midfield, whether it be a Wirtz or a Mush. Definitely worth it if I'm trying to get a Haaland. Same thing within the midfield as well in terms of price point. It's easy to really change a maneuver in 2 moves, 2 transfers to getting a Salah there. So yeah, and I think there's a lot of options, of course, in the 5.5s to really cover you with those dev cards, as I was talking about, who could really sit on your bench and come in whenever you really don't have an option. So that's my bench. I'm happy with the starting 11. Weakness in terms of starting, I think, yes, the City players, but I'm very confident because I was watching the Club World Cup and I saw them play a lot all together as well, and I began to get an idea of what Pep Guardiola's starting 11 really what would be. When it comes to the back, he actually played Aït-Nouri and Guardiola together, and so he played Guardiola centre left back with Aït-Nouri being that up marauding left back. And Guardiola looked good even at centre left back, also looking lethal at set pieces. And then Aït-Nouri was Aït-Nouri doing what he does, and then Mamouche again was Mamouche doing what he does. But he himself was in some games playing ahead of Haaland and Haaland benching, but I still think that might have been because of Haaland coming back from an injury. Nonetheless, I think Mamouche is shown to be an important player in terms of minutes, really. So when I look at who are the players, I think if I was to put like definite players who will start for City, of course you'd have Guardiola, Edison. Going up, you'd have Mamouche, and then you would have Erling Haaland. But now I think Aït-Nouri, there is nobody else besides Guardiola who really can play that left back like that. Then when you look at like, okay, who can play left centre back in City? There's Ake. So if you ask me, I'd say Aït-Nouri is pretty much by himself there, I think, again, if I want to be more secure, I'll switch to Guardiola. Price point is very much the same, again, same as Frimpong. If I'm really getting shivers, if I'm really not, sure that they're by the near the deadline, I'll be like, look, I just want to be sure. I'd rather play Guardiola and Van Dijk there. Everybody else, I'm very much sure about them. Even Wirtz, especially with Luis Diaz being confirmed out now. I think Gakpo is also a certain in that front line. Nketiah is really the striker who you need to sort of see, okay, how is he going to fit in? Gyökeres at the time of recording has not been loaded up to the game, but I have been considering, hey, how could I fit him in? I have come to the conclusion where if he is anything at 9 million and below, I will make some maneuvers here and there and put him in, because I don't have Arsenal and I want to have Arsenal attack in this fixture run. I'm not interested in Arsenal defense in this fixture run. So yeah, I think that covers those guys. When it comes to the triple up in Tottenham, I've decided to go double in defense because I know Burnley to be more of a defensive team and not necessarily attacking. I don't trust Tottenham defensively. It's just that I trust Burnley not to be that good in attack, and so I think a clean sheet can be kept there. And knowing that Burnley have been better, had a good defensive record in the championship, I suspect that the goals won't necessarily be that much. So I'll go, well, okay, cool. I'll just have Solanke. She should have high goal involvement, and then put 2 in the back to double up and get those points basically. Kudus is a really great option. He has been in my draft. I've been tinkering, of course. But then I thought, well, if you don't think they're going to score that much, and I say that much being like 3 and more, 2 goals, I think they'll definitely score. I'm not sure if they'll score 3 and more. They are at home, of course, first game. I wouldn't be surprised if they do score 3. Cool. But I don't expect more, and not to say that they won't. They can, and if they do, that's great. But I do think there's also a good chance of me, especially using Pedro Porro, getting maybe an assist there as well. Yeah, maybe even a goal as well. So that's why I'm going for Pedro Porro as opposed to Udogie, who is probably good for DEFCON, defensive contributions, and Van de Ven as well is becoming very favorite in the community. But again, I'm looking for like the short-term gain, and they haven't necessarily really shone in the stats that we've seen for players who did well in DEFCON last season, even though it wasn't applied. So that's the reasoning behind the 2. Vicario, I am on the lookout. I keep hearing the Kingski rumors, but again, to me, they've just been rumors. Like I've seen nothing, heard nothing from Thomas Frank that Kingski's in the running. Like I've seen nothing, heard nothing. So until then, I'm cool to have Vicario. And then I think with Chelsea, I am a bit nervous about João Pedro because the Delap situation. Like João Pedro played so well in the Club World Cup, absolutely great, but he was sharing minutes with Delap in some games as well. But he played so well, you could see that he even started ahead of Delap when he came in into the club. And so you could see that he was favored a lot more than Delap. But at the end of the day, you don't pay that much for Delap to sit on the bench. So again, if Gyökeres comes in and he's affordable, then I am moving João Pedro. And I'm most likely going to get a Caicedo 5.5. Good on DEFCON points. So it will help me really fund up from 7.5 to go up to that 9 million mark. So yeah, that's really where the thought is. But bench boost in terms of how certain am I going to bench boost? Bro, 99.1% I'm going to bench boost. I actually even started it like that last season. Luckily it went well for me. I say luckily because things can always go either way. But yeah, that's my team. And if you guys are impressed and actually want to find out, damn Cat, how do you build an FPL team? Well, I got you covered. This is a video that actually covers that on how you build your FPL team for Game Week 1 and the season as well. So I will check you guys out in that game and see you later. Peace.